It does. And Jarvis, I feel like maybe the game and the season might be finally starting for the Hawks. They're finally at a point in place where they can get back to above 500, which they haven't done in almost a month. And they can get to a point in place where they have 4 wins in a row, which I don't think they've done this season. That is remarkable to be able to say that about the Hawks, but we are saying that about the Hawks. And so you've got once again, we already know the conversation, Luka versus Trae, because they're going to go and play in Dallas. They're playing the Mavs tonight. And Trae Young said something interesting after that 3rd win in a row against the Heat. He said, when asked the question about what's the difference, he said, well, it's just that simple. It's get more stops and get more baskets than they do, period. I mean, Jarvis, is it that simple?
I don't think so. I don't think it's that simple because when you think about like all the conversations we've had, leading up to this, all the stuff popping off with the Sam Amick report out of the Athletic and then the AJC report coming out soon, and then Landry Fields kind of, standing on the top of the mountain trying to defend his organization that he just took over. It's hard to just simplify it from a basketball standpoint because like I talked about, about DeJounte Murray and how from a mental standpoint, I think this dude is probably has the most mental fortitude on this team. And I think he's shown that. And I think that when you have a guy who can kind of just block out all the noise and help people along the way and help them block it out and like, hey man, let's play some ball, let's get all that other stuff because I ain't used to this. So I think that's what started happening. Like, and of course Trae is not going to speak on that aspect of it because to him, like nobody should write that type of stuff. It should stay in house, which is absolutely ridiculous because there's something going on with this team, and now I'm glad that all this stuff is out here so we can talk about it and we can move on. So, and I think that's where I believe that's where we are in this phase as far as like, okay, now that it's out there, now that everybody know who Nick Wrestler is and what his part is in playing and making major decisions, basketball decisions. Okay, if that's the case, that's cool. Run with it. I want to see y'all win some games, and I think that's kind of where Trae is put it at in his mind, saying, okay, all the stuff is out. Let's move on and let's see if we can get a win streak going because the Hawks haven't won 4 games in a row all season.
The whole season, yeah. So crazy that we're saying that.
Yeah, so this is something that hey, this can mean something if they're able to get this dub tonight down there or over there in Dallas Fort Worth.
Yeah, and I think one of the ways that they do that is really for Trae Young to be the Trae Young that we've seen during this winning streak, shooting 39% from 3 in those 3 wins versus we know him averaging 32%, and then 9 dimes a game. That means you are really working to make sure everything from ball movement to spacing, getting everybody involved, all of that is a part of the game plan. That I hear what he's saying from a simplicity standpoint, but I also think those are kind of the nuances of what happens on offense. And then also they've really been doing much better in terms of their transition defense as well. Not sitting there arguing with the refs. Why didn't I get a foul? No, just get back on defense, get the ball back, and then make a bucket. So I do think that there are some things that we're seeing out of them, but we do know sometimes Trae will revert back to old habits. And sometimes, although he wants to not hear the chatter, sometimes he just hears the chatter, Jarvis. So I was wondering, and I'm hoping that just like Landry Fields said this morning with our guys, John and Hugh, one of the better things that he said that made sense to us was, hey, Trae Young, he's going to, go ahead and knock out that noise. He's going to focus. He's not going to be that person who's like, yeah, I'm out here to prove the doubters wrong. But do you think he's going to revert back to the mean and try to play hero ball just because he's once again up against Luka?
Ooh, that is a really good one and I think that the caveat was the last part that you added. That's why I feel before you added that last piece, I was like, you know what? I think he might be able to sustain this because, like I said, it's 3 games in a row.
Yeah,
he and DeJounte his game is kind of. He started his outside game and shooting from 3. He's been shooting better within his weird streak, and they've been moving the ball around. But the only thing that the last part that you said, that piece, now that they're going up against Luka, that's why I feel like there's a possibility that he might be able to try to play some hero ball, which I don't have a problem with as long as you keep that same energy on defense. Because like I said, he ain't locking nobody up. But
Right.
hey, if you have those spirit fingers on D, hey man, you can play hero ball all you want, and you can
Right.
go score for score with that dude. Because I wholeheartedly he has those capabilities.
Yeah.
And yeah, for all you Luka fans, yeah, he does have those capabilities from a scorer standpoint. He can
does.
get loose with it. So I think that when you have them going up against the guys with the full freight now, this is the first. I think it's the second
Yeah, we
time
haven't seen this clean injury
a clean
report.
injury report. So
Yeah.
like, hey, you got all
Unreal.
your guns, so it ain't no excuses. It ain't no reason
Nope.
for you to fall back. So resist the temptation, Trae. Resist the temptation.
Yeah, I love it. We'll leave it right there. Just resist the temptation and welcome back, CC. We really appreciate you coming back. Please stick around. Please stick around. But speaking of Landry Fields, we were talking about him stopping by our guys, John and Hugh, on the 92.9 The Game earlier. And in addition to his comments about Trae, he had some very interesting comments to say as it relates to blocking out noise or not blocking out noise and what that noise actually is from the perspective of the front office as well.
Individuals didn't come and say, hey, here's the story. Would you like to provide something for it? Can you help us gain some clarity on what we're hearing out there? No, people just decided to go and write that. And I don't think they understood at the time, and maybe they don't now, but I hope they do, just how damaging that is. And it's not just an organization thing. It's an absolute damage to people, whoever is involved in that. And that's not fair. But that's the world we live in right now. And what we're trying to do internally is weather that and find out where the growth point is at, and then continue to push forward, because we know that's not what we're about and not what we're going to be about at the Atlanta Hawks.
Thoughts, Jarvis. Thoughts. I know there was a lot to dig in there, but what's your immediate reaction when you kind of hear that?
Well, I mean, let's keep it funky. Like, we wouldn't have to be talking about this if you didn't tear down your front office midway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
If you would have done this in the offseason, people would have understood, because the way they were trending, ninth in the Eastern Conference, 500, almost right at halfway through the season. Those weren't the expectations coming to the season.
Right.
Like, the Dejounte Murray move was the extra superstar, the extra dude that can doggone handle the rock and help you on defense, because you had one of the best scoring offense in the NBA last year. So guess what? All this stuff going on, it ain't our fault that all this stuff is going on. If people within your organization, hey, the guy that hired you, Tony Wrestler, he up here doggone making people quote unquote step down. We all know that's bull crap. Special advisor, that's the doggone the last step before you get fired. Because he respects you in some form or fashion.
Yes.
So, hey, go and step down before I fire your behind. Okay, I'll do that. And then, oh yeah, you, by the way, don't even come in the building anymore, and you're free to go take a job wherever you can find a job and go get some money. So yeah, all this crap going, all this, people didn't come to me, because why should we come to you, Landry?
Right.
So you just gonna spill the beans and say, hey, this is what it was. Like, I don't feel like Travis Slank had an open mind about trading for DeJounte. Yeah, I feel like we should say blank them picks. We trying to doggone get to the playoffs and win the championship. No, you're gonna be like, no comment.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's right. That's probably what we were going to get. And I think, too, that what we were hearing from the media wasn't just the media making things up. A lot of these reporters are longtime beat writers and reporters with The Athletic, with the AJC. Those are reputable organizations who gave information that was given to them. So one thing about those organizations and one thing about those reporters, we know they do vet the information.
Right.
They're not going to just run with one piece of what they hear and roll with it, especially because one of those articles was not just written by our girl, Lauren Williams, but it was also co-written by Chris Vivlamore. And Chris still has a lot of inroads and a lot of inside knowledge, in addition to our buddy Jeff Schultz over at The Athletic. So I do think that because of the sources, Jarvis, it still goes back to what we were saying. And this is the other piece. All along, for at least the better part of 2, maybe almost 3 years. I won't even take it back as far as 4 years, but I could, because there was smoke way back when Luka and the Luka Trae trade. That's when the smoke really started, if you want to be honest, because questions were, who dictated that. But we won't go back that far. We'll just go back the last 2 years. Right. And it's just been smoke. When there's that much smoke, there is fire. So I hear what Landry's saying. And hey, Landry, you said the right things because you're the GM. Hey, I don't mind you defending the camp.
Yeah, I just
understand that at the end of the day, it's where there's smoke, there is fire, and you're just going to have to be prepared to manage this because, to your point, Jarvis, it is the middle of the season. And so this is the thing that is attached to you now. So you're going to probably have to deal with this for the remainder of the season. But hey, you know what? If you're stressed out there, whether you're a part of Hawks Nation and you're true to Atlanta, or you're a part of the front office and you're like, these people had tried it again today, probably time for you to get a Built Bar, because that's the only thing I can think of. If you get a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, that can just lull you into a sense of peace. And then they've got all these cool flavors, the churro and chunky cookie dough puffs and peanut butter. Like, all those are new flavors as well. So that's why I kind of mentioned those, and even almond, because that's something that you couldn't get from Built Bar just a month ago. Also, Built Bar has upped their game with proteins. We're talking 17 grams of protein in each bar versus just 15. And then, of course, the calories are down from 160 to 150. So to me, I don't know, Jarvis, it sounds like win-win-win. Other pieces, we've been telling you to go to built.com, and you can still do that, by the way. You can still go and order from built.com. But if you got Wally World right around the corner, why don't you just do that? And you can get yourself a 3-bar, 4-bar box from Wally World, or if Sam's Club is nearby, that's 13 bars, all just for you. So whenever you get stressed out in the Atlanta metro sports scene, you know where to go. Get yourself a Built Bar and everything will be fine, because who doesn't like 100% real chocolate in a bar?